you really need to talk to the folks here at Next Level. I've got to tell you, just speaking to the people here, they are fired up, they get it, they've got the right balance, and they're all increasing their income, they're increasing their production.
But you're dealing with people that are in the trenches dealing with this, are practitioners, had failures, had successes, learned from it, and it's about helping you not just like get through the next month, but it's about creating legacy business for yourself.
But I can tell you that you are mission focused. I know you're purpose focused, and I can tell you that every loan officer that I've communicated with that's been part of your platform has been a raving fan.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast, a proud founding member of the Real Disrupt Podcast Collaborative. You can check out more awesome podcasts at realdisrupt.com. And now, Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
Hello, everyone. Sean Zalmanoff, Shane Kidwell here with this edition of our Next Level Loan Officers Podcast. Shane, how are you today?
Dude, I'm living the dream one day at a time.
One day at a time. You are, man. You have some new dreams in your life.
I do.
We're joined by Ryan Speltz. Hey, friends. So this is our Next Level Loan Officers Podcast. Our mission is to deliver high quality content that you can use and implement in your business on a daily basis. We're about moving the needle for our industry and in your business. If you want to continue this conversation further and you don't know about Next Level, you can join us. You can be part of our entire organization. Get 8 different coaching calls a month and have access to all of our coaches for just $197 a month. So if you are interested, reach out to us, support at nextlevello.com, and we can make that happen for you. Shane, always good to see you. It's good to see you back in the office, man.
You know, I took a 2-week vacation for my wife to have a daughter. So it's funny when you have to take vacation time, you really expect to use it a little differently. But man, I'm super blessed. Glad to be back at it. You know, guys like us, we get bored. You know, our brains need to be stimulated all the time. So my daughter is sleeping right now. And so I'm excited to be here, listen to Ryan tell his story a little bit more. I mean, because this is the mortgage American dream, man. Like when you have guys who just do everything the right way, have a plan in place. So even when things get in the way of the plan, they just reset the plan and start over, and it works. And that's what's really fun about our group and about this call for me.
You know, it's funny that you're saying, because I do remember those days, but of course it's mid-morning and she's sleeping.
Yeah. Yep. Not a night. She's a little bit like her dad. Like, you know, when I worked as a fireman, we were up all night. We napped during the day. So, I mean, she's just taking that on, which we love her for it.
Ryan, what's up, man? So coming off a record year, you just bought a nice new vacation home / rental property in Puerto Rico. If anybody wants to check it out and rent it, reach out to Ryan. I'm sure he would be happy to let you in his place for a very small donation to a good cause, his college education.
That is correct. Yeah. I think you have to take record year with a grain of salt, because if you didn't have a record year last year, you probably weren't doing things the right way. So you know, that's kind of where it was at. But yeah, it was a good year. I'm started to build some staff and excited for the future direction.
You know, it's interesting that you say like that. If you probably didn't have a good year, you're probably doing things the wrong way. And like, that's what everybody inside of Next Level had last year. But it is amazing the number of loan officers that I still speak to that, yeah, man, it was good. It was this, it was that. There was this struggle. I mean, we always know there's change. We always know there's a struggle. But I'm like, dude, how did you not kill it last year? Like, what was your malfunction? And I hear Walmart's hiring because I just don't know how they're going to cut it.
Or I might need another loan partner.
Yeah, we're always the Next Level. We're always hiring loan partners for people who don't have their best year ever. But you know, Sean, Ryan, I think one thing to think about too is everyone had their best year ever, generally speaking. But now we're in a different market, and I think what separates the winners from the losers is not last year. It's this year. It's how do you feel going into this year? And for me, I can tell you, I don't have any fear at all about losing or market share or rate volatility, because my plan is not based on that. Right. And I know, Ryan, you're the same way. Like, you have a plan, you worked the plan. Last year was your best year until this year. Right. And then until next year and so on. And so I would love to hear more about how you got here today, your journey, because it's a fun story. And I know that Sean and I got to this place where we are today because of similar journeys and meeting. And I mean, we met outside of Next Level. The reason it got started was we met at a coaching group, started picking each other's brains, started to adapt what other people were doing, but give our style to it like you've done. And the rest was history, man. So I'd love to hear your story. Love to hear more about how you got to the point you're at today, where you have a home in Puerto Rico, beautiful wife, thriving business, but you're not burned out with massive bags under your eyes.
Depends on what day you catch me on, but yes,
that's true.
That's that cyclical part of the business, but that's what I enjoy. I enjoy throwing in that extra day of like, let me just work for 18 hours today, and then tomorrow I don't have to work that long. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a journey, and there's been some ups and some stagnant points and some downs, and when you play the long game, those things don't matter. And so that's what I've really tried to focus on is I'm not building a business for the next 20 minutes. I'm building it for the next 20 years. So as far as the journey goes, started out as a phone banger, calling Lending Tree leads. And it was just, I got invited by one of my buddies who had just started. He's like, man, like all you got to do is click get lead, and there's another lead. And if they hang up on you, you hit get lead, and then there's another lead, and it's great. So I did that for like 3 years. And then I went on vacation, my first vacation in 2 or 3 years at that point. We went to Mexico with the family, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. And we got back, and I was handed a notice of action. And it said, you're not producing enough. Like you need to produce more. You didn't do well last quarter. And I said, okay, great. I'm not calling your leads anymore. So January of 2017, I completely stopped calling leads. I continued to work whatever I had pre-approved in the pipeline from the leads. But I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I had met in December a realtor who was working a first-time homebuyer group on Facebook. And she reached out in one of these random Facebook groups, and I randomly saw her post. She's like, I'm looking for a lender who cares and wants to work a group with me. I was like, that sounds like me. So I was like, hey, sure. At that point, I got into the group. There was 25 people in the group. Most of them were her realtor friends. So we didn't really have a whole lot of people to talk to at that point. So we just kind of brainstormed, started figuring out ways to grow the group. Within a month, we had it at 400 members. Within 3 months, I think we were breaking 1,000 members. And that third month, I pulled 25 credit reports in 1 week, which I had never, ever done, calling 500 people a week. So that was really exciting. And that's just kind of like where my launch off point was, this can work. And if I can harness this and utilize it long-term, that's something that I don't ever have to go back to calling those leads. And I never did. So, for the next few years, it's been kind of stagnant, but I was working it a lot on my own, just being kind of a one-man band, trying to make things happen and just sitting through the process. So we had a great team where I was before. They did a lot of the work, but at that same point, I was kind of just like sitting and waiting for things to close. And so I'd have the ups and downs, roller coaster type, because I'd be worried about what's in the pipeline and then go get more, and then worried about what's in the pipeline. So, I'd have the occasional 8 loan month, and then following it would be 1 or 2 loans. And so when I found Next Level, I'd actually been following KT for a while. He was in a couple of other, they had launched a couple other coaching groups before that, or coaching programs before that. And so I came in Florida and didn't sign up the first one. We weren't exactly in the financial position to do so. But then I closed a few more loans, and by the, afterwards we ended up getting involved. And just making the moves that the coaching has recommended has been, that's been where my growth has really kind of taken off. And ultimately, I'm not closing a ton more loans. When I was closing by myself, I was closing 30 to 36 a year. So 3 a month. And it was like, oh, this is great living. And now I'm closing, last year I closed almost 50. This year we'll project out to 60 to 80. Goal is over 100. But if I close that many and I don't have to work 60 hours a week, I'm more than happy to close that many loans. So that's kind of where we're at, is building the team. Got a couple team members right now, and looking to kind of grow forward from there and see how dynamic we can get as a team, and see how things can become efficient in 2021, because 2020 was a little sloppy. and we closed 50 loans. So 2021 is, providing efficiency and seeing if we can close those 80 loans with the same staff. So
nice. Hey, so Ryan, one thing, that Shane and I and Kenneth and Kellen talk about a lot is the power being inside of the group. And I know that you've made some amazing connections. Ashley, who's now actually one of our coaches, was in your pod in a coaching group. And you get great information from us as coaches, of course. But man, what was it with having somebody in your tribe like Ashley and the other people that were in your pod? And tell us about that benefit in addition to, not just what the coaches provided, but what you're able to get by really plugging into others too.
Sure. So the cool thing about our pod was Wes was coaching and it was just me and Ashley. And it was crazy because every single time we would meet, two of us would be going through something similar. And it was just amazing. Like we were all clicking on that. I do like the switch that we've made now to where you guys are kind of coaching the whole group. We're getting different insights, right? Like it's a whole different thing. As far as connecting with other members, that's where the core is, right? Like I'm watching Alan Christian's business go through the roof and how he just presents himself and learning how to do videos and you don't even have to be good at it. Like I got a green screen and I throw a chroma key on it and it looks great. But my crappy video is better than your no video. So, but just watching his progression, that is really okay, Ryan, it's time to do that. And so that's kind of where I've taken my business too, is just, I want to be a video-based business because I enjoy the way the communication works with video. So learning that from Alan was huge. I could go on and on, name 100 other people, but that's really where it is you can learn a little bit of something from every single person in the group. One thing I did, I think his name was Brian at the last mastermind in Dallas, where he presented about introductions, not referrals. Switching just that one word in your business, people are responding so much differently to requesting an introduction versus requesting a referral. So there's just little things that I've picked up from almost everybody that I've met in the group. It's invaluable.
Ryan, I think that I want to just speak a little bit of future casting for you. One of the things you said is you're going to hope to close, 60, 65 loans, and then your goal is 100. I can tell you firsthand that with the right attitude and the implementation, you don't go from 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90. You go from 60 to 120, and then from 120 to 240. And that's just the way it works. And so for anybody who's listening in, Ryan's journey is one of just busting his ass. I remember we were chatting a while ago and your whole Facebook profile had been erased. Mm-hmm. So and for a guy who's building social media online, that is a big deal, guys. And he had to rebuild it from the ground up. But your mindset was all good. I can remove the people I didn't want in there before. I can start over with a better mindset. So I think speaking to you and speaking to the rest of the group listening today, if you're in a place where you have a growth goal, if you stay the course, you'll knock that goal out of the park, right? It's not even going to be close. And so I'm excited to see where you go with that. I would love to hear you talk a little bit about, I think what we learn most is when we struggle, right? We don't learn the most when we're kicking butt. We'll learn the most when we hit rock bottom or we have a bad month or something doesn't go right. And then we go, I've got to do something different. For people who are listening and there may be a guy or gal like you, they were a dialer. They were in the grind, right? The boiler room lenders, right? And they decided to do something different. When you had a moment where you hit bottom or you had that fear of, I don't know if this is going to work. And you made a tweak. And I like to say, we can't control the weather, but we can always adjust our sails, right? I would love for you to share just a thought or an experience or a strategy or two that when you said, I need to adjust, what you did to adjust to keep you now where you're super confident in your growth. I put you on the spot too for this.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of a specific moment. there's no real specific moment in time. I would say that I really took hold of this. I went 2019 when I set a goal at the beginning of the year to read 52 books. And so reading the books has I haven't had one of those okay, I'm going to give up on this moments in the last 2 years, because when you consistently fill your mind with positivity, you're just not going to get that, right? But before that, you know, like where we went through struggles with just employment, really. You know, I took on one person, and they were there for 3 months and sent me an email at 2 a.m. and this is my last day. I'm not coming in today, and like left me with my entire pipeline of 13 loans. And then the next person I went out to hire worked for me for 1 day, and then took another position after the first day. All of this happened within 2 months of each other. And then the third hire is still with me today, but you know, you just keep pushing through. And for me, like, I don't really have that, like, let's tweak it kind of mindset. Like I've done the research up front or done the thinking up front, so that if I'm setting a plan, like there may be small tweaks where you go left or right. But for me, it's like, if I set a plan, it's because I know it's going to work and I just have to continue to do it. And so if I were to say, like, within the last 2 years of any time that I've had those moments, the most recent one would be just diving headfirst into video. Like I really, like, I set a goal before Mastermind to shoot 200 videos, and I set that goal like on my birthday on the 25th of March. So like within a month and 5 days, I want to have 200 videos filmed that I can throw to anybody and send content to anybody. So really, it's not like a tweak. It's more of like a, let me double down on what I'm going to do because I know it's going to work.
Well, you glossed over this, but you read 52 books in a year.
2019, I read 52, and then 2020, I read 115.
I mean, guys, that right there, that is a massive investment in your future business. And I mean, I don't even know if I have 52 books in my bookshelf, let alone have read that many. I mean, that takes discipline. And I think that's one of the keys that keeps coming up is you have a disciplined approach to what you do, which is lacking in our industry. It's a disciplined mindset to say, well, if I came up with a strategy, I'm going to just work the strategy because the strategy will work because I've read 755 books and I've come up with a plan. I know it works. I've seen others do it. I'm not different. If Alan can do it, I can do it. If Ashley can do it, I can do it. If Sean can do it, I can do it. And then you work your plan. And I think that's one of the key challenges that we see with a lot of originators. You know, Sean and I coach a lot of people, and you constantly hear people go, I'm going to do this thing. And I'm like, that's a great idea. You should do that. And then next month they go, I didn't do it. And you go, well, the reason you're not successful is because you start and stop. You quit often, and you don't have a quit attitude. And I think that's something that is reflective in you. It's reflective in our group. It's like we bring people into a room who don't quit. We're going to implement and adopt and come up with things. And if they don't work, it's not for lack of effort. It's because it just wasn't the right thing in the right market. But I think that's been huge. Before we end, I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of your specifics on video, because this is key for 2021. If you're not doing video, like I could show you my setup here. My desk doesn't look like a mortgage originator's desk. It looks like a podcasting studio, right? And you can look at us. We have our microphones and we have all these things. We have our soundboards, our green screens. We are marketers that do loans, right? We're not loan officers who try marketing. And I think that that's a key distinction moving into this year. I'd love to hear a couple of your specific strategies for video.
Well, working with Mike Cuevas is awesome. And I know that he's a coach or you know, associated with Next Level, and he's really great. He's really starting to pull me into who I am. Like I'm a pretty reserved guy. Like I don't come out of my shell all that often. But he's really like in the
Ryan.
Don't even do it.
I mean, there was like 1 a.m. in Dallas a few months ago. I said you were out of your shell. Everyone's out of their shell then, but
yes. But yes, okay, occasionally do. But yeah, Mike's really good at getting not 1 a.m. Ryan to come out of his shell. And he's very good at directing, and that's going to be a key to the success too, is just his mind works that way, and it's helping. As far as what I'm doing on my own, I mean, guys, editing video isn't that hard and it doesn't take that long. Like I sit down at night, like I'll go into the office or shoot it here at the home office, and I'll just shoot for 2 hours and I'll have 25 videos. I'll take them off my cell phone, put them on my computer, load them into OpenShot is what I use to edit videos, throw a chroma key on it, and like just cut the beginning, cut the end, cut the beginning, cut the end. It's just duplication. So really, like mine is where a lot of people are like, oh, this has got to be perfect. I'm like, screw that. Like throw up my logo behind me and I'm going to talk for 1.5 minutes about something mortgage related. You know, and that's kind of where I want to take it. You in 2021 or within the next month, is to have kind of all that knocked out. And then I'd really like to build, and I'm working on this as well, a financial literacy course as well. So that'll be something that ties very closely to mortgage, budgeting, investing, that kind of stuff. And so I'll build out a website with all that stuff as well, to kind of support the mortgage side and use it as like hey, if you have questions, here's, $10 a month and you get access to all this stuff and you can learn whatever you want. So that's kind of the direction that I'd like to go with video is to build out enough where I don't have a question I can't answer with a video I haven't already shot.
Shane, what I hear with Ryan is it's just so different than most of the people in the industry. And Ryan, you just have it figured out. Like you pick a few things and you go all in on those few things. You brought up Alan Christian, and crushed his video, he crushed his Facebook. That's all he does. Like when I talk to him, it's like, no, don't do this. Don't get distracted by another shiny object. The number of people I've spoken with over my career, it's like, man, I made $5,000 doing this. I made $10,000 doing this, and I never did it again. Like, we're not building rockets and we're not trying to shoot China from here. Like, we don't need to know how to do that, man. We just need to know how to do a couple things incredibly well from a marketing perspective. And if you do that better than everyone else or better than most, you win. It's just not that hard.
No, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be better than the worst, right? Like when the lion's chasing somebody, you just don't be the slowest guy. Like,
it's funny. Shane's talking about, like, if you're not doing video, you got to do video now. I remember sitting in a room in 2011, 10 years ago, and people being like, you're not, like, it's going to pass you by. And the thing is, a decade later, it still hasn't passed us by. There's still so much opportunity to dominate our local markets with it.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
I love what you said, Ryan and Sean. And I think for anybody listening, just to kind of summarize, Ryan has done a lot of green screen videos. I just pulled up your Facebook profile, and kudos to you, man. 1,500 friends after losing everything, like, takes a lot of work. And guys, if you haven't watched our training on organic social media, you don't understand how important it is to have a lot of friends on social media. It's free marketing, and Ryan uses it for free marketing all the time. Yeah. Green screen, and really creative videos. And again, it's not the typical lender walking into a real estate office saying, hey, here's a flyer on renovation loans. It's green screen with the Tampa Bay Rays. It's doing fun stuff. It's creating motivational quotes that he brands probably with Canva and things like that, right? Again, it's easy to implement. It's just hard to consistently do because we get distracted. So if you've listened to this podcast, check out Ryan on Facebook, look at the videos he's doing. And I think a key component to this is you invest in yourself. Mike Cuevas, I invest in Mike Cuevas, phenomenal YouTube specific coaching on how to build a brand. Next Level, I'm partial, but phenomenal coaching on the mortgage industry. You invest money in yourself and it shows. And so for anybody who's listening, if you're not investing money, it's not an investment if you go out and spend the money and then don't implement. But it's an investment when you spend money, surround yourself with like-minded people, and then do what's required to get what's desired. And you've done that. So kudos to you. Guys, I think we've kind of come to a place that is a good spot to stop and pause. And I want to bring Ryan back in the coming months because there's so much you're doing with video, man, and I love it. And I think the key takeaway for everybody on this call or on this podcast, or if you're watching online, do a couple of things really, really well. And it doesn't have to be what your competition is doing. In fact, the quote I say often that I heard, I had a breakfast with Andy Andrews, who's a business coach to a lot of really incredible people.
He's an amazing author. You should check out his books.
Amazing author. And what he said, and this was 6 years ago. So if you want to double your business, don't do what the competition's doing. Go the opposite direction. If your competition is sending out renovation flyers, if they're talking rates, if they're freaking out about the market, get a camera. It could be cheap. Use your iPhone. It's 4K. Record a freaking video. Do 1 3-minute video every day for the next 14 days and send those out. Drop them in Facebook, put them on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, wherever. It's amazing the response you'll get because you become a local celebrity and expert because you're on the screen. And there's no excuse because we all have $1,000 phones in our pockets. And that's a camera that's far better than I ever had when I got into the industry 11 years ago. So I would like to leave with this. And Ryan, I would love if you could leave our group with a final thought. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell the Ryan Speltz of 12 to 24 months ago that would help that Ryan get to this place a little bit sooner, if anything? And guys, this is a really good question to ask yourself. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell your former self? Hey, if you hired that loan partner sooner, I know you don't think you have the money for it, but go in on yourself. Hey, you said you're going to do video and you didn't. If you would have, you would be, what would you tell yourself, the version of Ryan from 12 to 24 months ago?
Well, the easy one would have been to hire the loan partner that someone else in Next Level hired when they came to me on the way back. But I won't take the easy route there. Just don't get distracted by the shiny objects. I mean, I spent most of my time and honest, if I'm being honest, up until Dallas, because Dallas was where I said, I'm not investing in any more technology. I'm not investing in anything else I have to learn until I nailed down what I want to do. And we broke all that down. So that's really it, is you guys say that I'm really good about focusing on a few things. And in the past, it wasn't that way. And that's where the roller coaster came from. So when I did focus on the things that I should have focused on, I had really, really great quarters. Not great months, quarters. And then you trail off and the 90-day season goes away. So really just focus in on what you can control, what you can do, and just stick with that. And if you can't focus on something else, hire somebody else to do it.
Nice.
So that was the 2021 message of a thought that a coach would have given us in 1990. Focus on a few things, do it consistently, and you'll win. The beauty of that is impervious to any market shift. It's impervious to the rates going up, rates going down, markets shutting down, COVID, pandemics. Focus on a few things, master them. And if you do that, you're going to win. And you're going to have the life that you want, which is you dictating that life, not a lead gen company or a manager telling you you're not doing enough cold calls. Guys, gals, if you took something away from this podcast, reach out to Ryan, give him some praise, give him some love, because that's what we do in our community. We would always encourage you to take the next step, invest in yourself. We have made it so freaking easy to join our group. It's really stupid if you don't, because it's one extra loan a year covers your entire year's membership. And getting in a room with like-minded people, we make $10,000 to $20,000 ideas every time we sit down and break bread. And it's always been a good use of my time, so much so that I fly across the country at will to be with these guys and gals. I highly encourage you to come to our live event, April 30th, and join, dive in, and I'm excited to see everybody on the other side. Sean, you got anything to end with?
No, we appreciate you all. And just, you not only are flying across the country, but you're flying literally from one corner to the other corner while you have a 1-month-old to plug into this, because that's the level of importance that it is to you and what you know that it's going to move the needle for you and your daughter and her future. So I just want to make sure that people really understand what you're doing and what we invest in.
Our coach told us one time, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, commitment alters everything. And I want my daughter to have the life I wasn't able to have. And I want my wife and I want our family to be able to experience things others can't. You can't have what others don't have unless you do what others aren't willing to do. If you're not willing to do the uncomfortable, you'll always be uncomfortable. And I think that's the challenge for all of us. It's something I learned through being in this group, learn from guys like Ryan, learn from guys like Sean, be uncomfortable, make a commitment and stick to it. It's not a commitment if you're willing to break it. No. We live in agreements. We live in commitments. We love you guys. We're so appreciative for this, the unique time we're in as an industry. It's good to break bread with each other, and we'll continue to do that. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Next Level Podcast.
See y'all.